As the season starts, a man dreams that he is fighting with squirrels. We are introduced to Shiroe, who we have seen before fighting with squirrels. He walks around the city alone. Shiroe checks his screen and is glad that he can control everything, but he cannot log out. He calls on Naotsugu next. Shiroe meets Naotsugu. Shiroe tells them that they're in an Elder Tale. They plan to add a new expansion called the Novasphere Pioneer today. Shiroe and Naotsugu walk and talk. They figure out that they are in Akihabara, which is one of the most popular servers in Japan. So it wasn't hard to figure out that this place was in the Elder Tale game. Both of them know they are players now. Both of them don't know how they got here. Shiroe suggests that they look for information in the city. As they look around the city, they see that all the buildings are the same as they are in the game. Shiroe says not to look outside the zone, but Naotsugu says to. Naotsugu and Shiroe talk about how he looks in the game. People are watching them. While they talk, someone throws rocks. She is Akatsuki. Akatsuki was looking for Shiroe. Shiroe gives her the potion that changes her appearance because she asked for it. Akatsuki drinks the potion, which causes her to change. Shiroe seems to know Akatsuki, but he didn't know she was a woman. Assassin was Akatsuki's game role. Shiroe was a strategist, and Naotsugu was a guardian. Shiroe is asked how much she owes by Akatsuki, but she agrees to stay with them and do what they say at Shiroe's request. The next day, Shiroe tells Naotsugu that the non-player characters, NPCs, call themselves the people of land in the city, and the players call themselves the adventurers. The three go to the market for food and drinks. They were surprised that all food and drinks tasted like water. Crescent Moon Alliance leader Mariel, also known as Mary, calls Shiroe. Shiroe is invited, so Shiroe, Naotsugu, and Akatsuki meet her. It's guild hall. Shiroe says each guild has a room. They enter room number 236. Henrietta, Mariel's sister, is also there. Shiroe asks why she invited him, and she says they needed to talk. Mariel tells Shiroe there are 19 Crescent Moon Alliance members, 18 in Akihabara, and 1 elsewhere. As the intercity transport is locked, one can't come. Mary says everyone knows the game, but Shiroe disagrees. He says this isn't the old game they used to play. Mary asks Shiroe to join the guild, but he refuses. Mary tells Henrietta that Shiroe was in the Tea Party, which was not a guild but just random people doing quests together. He worked as a strategist. Shiroe, Naotsugu, and Akatsuki go into the streets and notice that the people are sitting aimlessly. According to Naotsugu, only death can let them exit the game, but Shiroe disagrees. He tells him that if players die, they are revived. At nighttime, they head to the Tower Forest. As the trio are at level 90, they will have to fight real and tough monsters. The bear weasel that looks like a squirrel attacked, but the trio got through it. Shiroe concludes that they need to learn the world's rules in order to fight. An MMORPG with more than 20 million people calls this day the Apocalypse. Sorara, a member of the Crescent Moon Alliance, calls Mary and asks for help. Some thieves' catches are tracking Sorara, and all this is watched by a cat person. Shiroe tells the both of them that even death is not an escape in this game. They plan to go to the forest again to practice their strengths. Shiroe, Naotsugu, and Akatsuki are seen again meeting Mary in her guild's room. Mary and Shiroe talk about the existence of various guilds. Naotsugu decides to speak as he is curious about why there is no one fighting in the city. Shiroe dispels his doubt that they are not permitted. If they do, the royal guard will come and kill both of the people. Mary and Shiroe talk about players killing and looting each other, which is called king. At night, they reach Loka Hospital, but sense something is off. Soon some pigs attack them, so a fight is induced between the two groups. Shiroe, Naotsugu, and Akatsuki won the fight due to their teamwork. Shiroe concludes that everyone will stay alive even if they don't do anything. So enough of being bored. People made peaky groups. Shiroe's conversation is interrupted by Mary's calls. She tells them to come to the guild headquarters. They are informed that Mary will be heading out and leaving the city to save Sorara. Shiroe suggests sending a team, but it is not worth it. Shiroe suggests they take horses as the intercity transport is shut down. Mary asks Shiroe to take care of everything while she is away. This situation made Shiroe ponder for a while. Finally, he decides to go with his team. He tells his suggestions to Mary and Henrietta. The two sisters agree, although it was a surprise to them. Shiroe summons the horse but decides to stay for a while and eat. After they are done resting, Shiroe and Naotsugu call the large bird creatures, griffins, to ride. After traveling for some time, they reach the depths of Palm. It's been 3 days since they left Akihabara. The depth of the Palm is an ancient maze which they use as a shortcut. They started to explore the maze and came across some low-level monsters who didn't attack them. Mary calls Shiroe and asks about their whereabouts. Shiroe does not tell him everything. The cat person is introduced as Nyanta. He saves Sorara from the weird-looking people. Although Mary trusts Shiroe, she is worried about them crossing the mountains. Henrietta comes and consoles her. The scene moves to the maze as they take a different route. The bridge they were crossing breaks and Shiroe falls while saving Akatsuki. Just as they are about to exit the dungeon, the Noosphere monsters attack them. They exist in the dungeon after fighting with them, and now are able to see the sun. Shiroe's voice narrates. The main motive behind Elder Tale was to make a game on a half-scale model of the Earth. The Half-Gaia project in this game, the land corresponding to Japan is known as the Crescent Island of Yamato. The northern area is known as Ezo Empire. A guild named Brigandius is bossing people around in Susukino. Shiroe decides to meet Nayanta inside the city because if they die outside, they will be resurrected in Akihabara Cathedral and Sorora in Susukino Cathedral, respectively. Brigandius is added to the Brigandius family list, as she is hiding in a private zone. That's why they are unable to find her. As soon as she needs out, they will catch her. The leader of the guild, Demicas, is looking for her. As Shiroe and Naotsugu enter, the members of Brigandius notice them. The group of three heads to meet Sorora and Nayanta. Sorora thanks them for coming. Nayanta introduces themselves. We get to know here that he is the chief. Shiroe, Naotsugu, and Nayanta know each other. Shiroe invites him to come to Akihabara, and he accepts. Demicas and other Brigandias members are waiting for them to leave the city so that they can fight. At Atsuki Shiroe's request, Nayanta invites Demicas for a one-on-one. Demicas seems uninterested, so Shiroe and Nayanta mock him, making him the first to induce a fight. Naotsugu saves Nayanta when every member of Brigandias was about to attack him. Akatsuki is surprised to see Shiroe's planning techniques. Nayanta kills Demicas and sends him to the cathedral to revive. The group of four starts their journey back on griffins. Shiroe is sure that the apocalypse changed everything, even the people of the land. Sorora calls Mary to inform her. Sorora thanks everyone for their help. As the sun is about to set, everyone sets up the camp and Nayanta and Sorora go to do the cooking. Just as Shiroe, Naotsugu, and Akatsuki eat the tasteless food, they smell beef, so they head that way. They were surprised to find such delicious food after a long time. While having dinner, Sorora and Akatsuki introduce themselves. Shiroe, Naotsugu, and Nayanta talk about the past, when they were in a tea party. Shiroe remembers a young pair of siblings. The brother is named Toya and his sister Minor. Shiroe helped them back then, but they are still on friend lists. The next day, while they are traveling, they notice dark clouds indicating rain. So they decided to stop and take shelter. They went to the south end of Arb Highlands, where they take shelter from an old man named Fedor. He is a non-player character. Fedor shows them the barn and tells them to stay here for the night. As they are chatting with Fedor, they are greeted by their grandchildren. Nayanta makes cookies for everyone and everyone enjoys them. The screen shifts to a tired Minori and Toya, who are following the commands of a rude leader. When it is so hard to keep everything up, Toya asks Minori what Shiroe did. Minori gets to see Shiroe, but doesn't have the courage to ask for help. They all reach Akihabara, and a party is thrown to celebrate Sorora's successful return. After the party is over, Mary and Shiroe talk about Akihabara's condition while Shiroe was away. Mary tells Shiroe that the condition is just getting worse. For example, King is the highest. Mary tells Shiroe about what happened a few days ago. Mary called on the leaders of many small guilds to merge into one, but it failed miserably. Shiroe is thinking about why it all went wrong and what he could do in this matter. Shiroe is approached by Nayanta. Nayanta talks to Shiroe about guilds and the effect they are having. Shiroe asks for Nyanta's advice, and he tells him to let it go, what he holds back. Shiroe talks to Minori, and only Nayanta talks, while Minori gives only partial answers. Shiroe tells Minori to believe in him, he will save her. Hearing this makes Minori cry. The next morning, Shiroe goes to ask for help from Mary, and they agree. He explains his motive for cleaning Akihabara. Henrietta requests his strategy, and he demands 5 million gold. Shiroe tells Mary he finally named a guild named Log Horizon. As Shiroe explains, the only currency that works here is gold. The next day, Shiroe, Naotsugu, and Akatsuki go to the Imperial Garden Forest for hunting. On the other hand, Mary is seen working hard and has not left her room in 3 days. Shiroe comes into the room with more paperwork. Meanwhile, Shiroe has told Akatsuki to keep an eye on the traders of expended potions. Shiryu, Hien, Naotsugu, and Chief are hunting animals. Shiroe needs to make money. On next day, they opened their food stalls and everyone loved it. They added the real taste, just like it does in real life. They earned 43,000 on the first day, but at that rate, they will earn 5 million. So, Shiroe decides to go for plan number 2. Sojiro is invited by Shiroe and the chief. Shiroe tells him his plans, and he decides to help. Sojiro tells Shiroe that his guild is known as the West Wind Brigade. Sojiro explains his concern that Shiroe does not like him because he didn't accept his request to join the guild. Shiroe tells him there is nothing like that, and he does not want to be in one at that time. The next day at the stall, Sojiro is helping them out. At the Dragon's Nest, Mary and Henrietta meet Karashin, the leader of Shopping Street 8. Karashin asks them the reason for the visit. Mary makes him accept the contract for the ingredient supply. Henrietta tells Karashin that they were not convicted at first, so now they need to leave. She tells Henrietta that they have a meeting with Roderick, the Merchant Guild, and the Marine Agency. After hearing this, he agrees to sing a deal, so he was allowed to be a part of the next meetings. The screen shifts towards Minori and Todya. They went to the place where it was all mixed, and on the way back, they were looted by Ping. Kings killed Minori, so she was revived at Cathedral. The scene shifts to the meeting of Henrietta, Mary, and Karison with Michitak and Roderick. Henrietta introduces herself before getting into the business. She explains the reason for Karison's presence. Henrietta demanded 5 million and 1.5 million from each guild, after they would have completed the quest. As Henrietta continues to speak, Mary serves them pudding, so she offers to give recipes if they agree. Her trick worked, as 3 of the guilds agreed. Mary and Henrietta return back to their rooms and ask Naotsugu about Shiroe's whereabouts. Henrietta wants to tell him all of the details. The screen shifts to Shiroe, who is inviting various guild leaders for a meeting. Shiroe calls Minori and tells her he will save her tomorrow. The next day, all guilds accepted his invitation. All the major guilds of Akihabara arrive. It includes DDD, Black Swords Knights, Honesty, West Wind Brigade, and Silver Sword. He has also invited grafting guilds like Shopping Street 8, the Marine Agency, Roderick Merchant Guild, Grandeur, Radio Market, Crescent Moon Alliance, and Law Corrision. As all guild leaders take their seats, Shiroe introduces himself and thanks everyone for coming. He tells everyone about the goal of making Akihabara a better place to live. The Silver Sword leader leaves as he is not interested. The scene shifts to Minori, who has been told to leave the place and Naotsugu will help her. On Shiroe's order, Minori and Todya take all the new members with them and leave. Coming back to the meeting, Shiroe tells everyone about the trip to Susukino and the events that took place. Shiroe informs everyone about the need for law formation. When no one seems to be interested, Shiroe tells everyone that he bought Guild Building Zone about 4 hours ago. This means that without his permission, no one can enter or leave the guild. No one can even have access to their own banks. This creates a tension among the leaders, so they decide to listen to Shiroe. Everyone is confused about where they got the money from. On the back end, all the new players manage to escape except Minori and Todya. Schreider, their leader, tries to stop them, but they decide to continue running. When they cross the door, they took a sigh of relief. Not long before Schreider goes home, Naotsugu saves them. Shiroe is being told about the successful escape plan. The scene shifts to Marie and Henrietta, when they both notice it has just been 1 week since the Roundtable Conference. The city is calmer and more peaceful. The screen flashes back to 1 week before. At the meeting, Shiroe tells everyone about the 2 goals he has, in which one of them was to restore people's lives. That is where Mary speaks and tells the whole thing. She even tells everyone how they make good food, and the trick is that they use ingredients and make the food themselves. Only chefs or those whose subclass is chef make food. Karison's reveals that Shopping Street 8, the Marine Agency, and the Roderick Merchant Guild made a prototype. It allows anyone to easily purchase anything, but they charge money, and this is helping them to run their economy. Slowly and gradually, all the guilds accepted and recognized the Roundtable Conference. Each leader of the guild reads a set of rules and regulations that members have to follow. On the first day, everyone celebrates. Amelian was the type of guild who used new members' X potions are finished. Mary is on stage, having a conversation with Henrietta. Everyone is working hard as the log horizon is moving. Mary and Henrietta come to check the progress. Suji and Nizano also join, but leave after some time. Everyone congratulates Log Horizons on their new home. Shiroe remembers the day when he asked Naotsugu and Naotsugu to join the guild. The chief went to market and brought Todya and Minor. They ask Shiroe to let them join Log Horizons, and Shiroe agrees. Todya and Minori seem to be practicing. Chiefs goes to Shiroe and recommends a break. Henrietta calls for everyone to come over. Mary is acting strange because she is tired of all the work and wants a vacation. This gives Shiroe an idea. A summer training camp at the town of Chashi, near Zentleaf region, is going to be started for players below 40 level by the Round Table. A messenger of Surijiat Cowan, High Lord of the Estate League of Freedom Cities, invites Shiroe to an all-round conference with his leaders. Shiroe accepts. The team is then divided into 2. One will be going as a representative, and the other will go to training camp. The training group reaches the place where they will be staying. On the other hand, the leaders gather and are on their way. Everyone at the training camp is enjoying their time at the beach. Shiroe and his group arrive at the Palace of Eternal Ice, where all meetings will take place. They are warmly welcomed through a party thrown by Surijiat. Surijiat introduces his granddaughter, Planesha. The screen shifts to the training camp, where the students are told they will head to a dungeon named Forest of La Granda tomorrow. The party at the palace continues. Surijiat tells the arriving group that the conference will be 10 days long and that it will start tomorrow. Shiroe dances with Henrietta and surprises everyone. Back at the training camp, everyone is enjoying their time quietly. Minori calls Shiroe and tells him about the trip to the dungeon, as she is very nervous. Shiroe consoles her and tells her it's okay. The next day at the palace, having lunch, the group discusses their secret being adopted by the people of land. The players are taken to the location of the dungeon and are divided into 2 groups. Nayanta tells the group to make a plan and then go in and take the routes according to their levels. Everyone introduces themselves and goes inside without their plan. Inside the dungeon, they are not being attacked by monsters. Due to the lack of a plan, everyone decides to run. Shiroe explains what kinds of creatures are called demi-humans. Goblins are a type of half-human creature. They are cruel and mean. They live north of the island chain and east of it. Shiroe talks to the round table at the palace. Shiroe tells them to go to a dinner with Count Karina of Tsukuba's academic group, a party with young knights, and a banquet with Lord Dart. Shiroe goes to the Count of Karina of Tsukuba. The next thing Krusty does is go to a party for young knights. Mikitaka goes to a dinner hosted by Lord Dart. Krusty is remembered by Princess Lametia. The princess finds out that Krusty can read thoughts. When the princess tells her maid about Krusty, she tells her to be careful. The next day, a painting of a princess is shown. The painting makes everyone gasp. The princess saw Krusty practicing with a knight. Krusty asks the princess to give the title to the strongest knight in the group. After that, the match starts. Shiroe, on the other hand, is speaking with the academic guild. The talk is heated, but Shiroe keeps her cool. Akatsuki is keeping an eye on 2 people. Shiroe is in a meeting when Minori calls him to talk about the dungeon. Minnie apologizes and hangs up. Krusty wins his fights without using magic. It surprises viewers. Krusty tells Princess Lametia that, as adventurers, they have a lot of freedom. At the table, 2 of them fell asleep. Everyone in the dungeon is out to kill monsters, but they always fail. Mariel is worried at the beach because her kids haven't come back in 4 days. He says the kids are fine. When Shoryu gets crabs for dinner, everyone is happy. Mikitaka has a meeting at a banquet. They want the tools that are used to send things from one place to another. The palace is next. The princess wants to know why Krusty is mean to her and not to other people. Princess, Krusty's sister, is like a sister to him. Krusty asks Princess if he can do something nice for her. When Shiroe shows up, Akatsuki is trying to dance. Shiroe and Akatsuki began talking. The people in Akatsuki tell Shiroe about the Izuma Knights. During their talk, the mage of Moral Lake, Regan, shows up from behind. Regan wants to speak with Shiroe. Then Regan, Shiroe, and Akatsuki go to the library. Regan knows about Shiroe's magic bag. The team is in the jungle trying to defeat monsters. When Naotsugu arrives, he warns them to follow the rules or face consequences. At the library, Regan apologizes for being called a mage. He's a magician. Shiroe remembers Moral Lake from before. Shiroe uses this to learn about the locals. Regan specializes in world-class magic. Shiroe is unfamiliar with this type of magic. Regan explains that there are many types of magic. Scale is used because magic has a unique perspective. Classes like magic can control the law and fate. Friction has been cast 3 times. The 3rd time it's called Apocalypse. This catches Shiroe's attention, so he asks when and where the spell was first cast. Regan agrees to reveal as much as possible. Regan tells a story from 350 years ago. There were humans, elves, dwarves, and alves. He invented magic. The elves were servants. The kingdom of Elv was destroyed, and 6 beheaded princesses of Ludkench were born. Unknown to each other, they planned revenge. They worked in parallel. Some used power and led the remaining elves, but to no avail. As they were nearing defeat, they created the initial friction. The spell created demi-humans from dead souls. Demi-humans drove humanity to the brink, and a dark age began. In order to defeat demi-humans, wolf-fangs were created. This type includes cat people, wafans, and foxtails. Wolf-fangs were made by precursors. Legends are legends, non-player characters with adventuring skills. Regan finishes the story of first friction and turns to split theory. Regan, returning to the topic, tells the second friction use story. After 60 years, the first word 240 years before the second friction spell, and the adventurers returned, Shiroe asks why he was chosen. Regan tells Shiroe his name appears in 98 years. Regan says he once fought alone at that time. Akatsuki asks Shiroe about its possibility, and Shiroe says the time is different. Anima animates the body and is called HP, hit points. Anima disperses when anima dies. The next day, Akatsuki asks Shiroe about Regan's conversation. Shiroe tells her if they die, their memories will be lost. Kids in the jungle are shown. A member named Rudy wants to go into the dungeon. Minori says to wait till evening. Rudy does not like the idea at first. Minori suggests getting to know each other better and making a plan before going into the dungeon. Everyone starts by telling their special weapons to Minori, who writes everything down. In the evening, they go into the dungeon. They started to fight according to the plan and were able to kill the monsters. At the palace, Shiroe tells Henrietta to collect the paper and ink as much as possible. Henrietta tells him that they have enough, but she collects them anyway. Minori calls Shiroe and gives him the report about everything they did. Shiroe is happy for her. Shiroe sits alone in the room as he is sure that there is still too much to know about the city and its people. Krusty and the princess are having dinner. In the forest, Isuzu plays the instrument while the others enjoy the calm night. Isuzu and Rudy have a chat, and during the conversation she discovers that she can't add Rudy. The next day at the beach, Sahuagin, the fish monster, attacks. Shoryu comes in time and saves Marielle. He instructs Marielle to call for help and take the kids to safety. Nayanta comes to help Shoryu. At the palace, everyone seems to be in a hurry. When Marielle and the kids try to contact the leading fighting group but fail, the Sorora group arrives and helps them contact the fighting group. All the details are given to Shiroe. An urgent telepathic round conference with all leaders is held. About 10,000 demi-human goblins have attacked. Shiroe tells everyone that this is the time for the Goblin King to return. He lives in the Golden Castle under the 7th Fall, deep below the forest of our territory. The Golden King is crowned twice a year. They are attacking weak Golden bases. The NCPs held a meeting in which they told everyone about the need for Knights of Izumo in this matter. The princess is also told about the whole situation by her father. Her father instructs her to stay here. At the beach, Marielle is trying to cheer everyone else. The army of goblins plans to attack the land of Chashi. Sorora groups ask for permission to save the town of Chashi. Back at the palace, Shiroe has called for help from the West Wind Brigade. He tells fewer members about the loss of memories. A combative DDD approves as he can't remember his cat's name he once had after the death retrieval. In the forest, Marielle disagrees but later grants them permission. When the rescue party arrives, they notice the goblins have already destroyed the city. Minori plans to attack the goblins to stop them from attacking. Minori instructs everyone to follow the plan, and everyone agrees. Although Marielle has granted the permission, she is still worried. Naotsugu reassures her that everything will be fine. Everything is told to Shiroe. At the palace, NCPs holds a meeting without the adventurers. The adventurers dislike this act of theirs. In NCP's meeting, no one seems to know about the Knights of Izumo. The princess gets to hear the evil plans of lords to use adventurers for their own safety. Soon after, the adventurers are invited to the meeting. On their way, Princess gives a clue to Krusty. At the Chachi Island, Minori keeps Naotsugu updated. At the palace, a heated argument takes place between the NCP's lords and the adventurers. A princess arrives at the meeting and tells adventurers about the disappearance of the Izumo Knights. The princess asks Krusty to accompany her to Akihabara, as she will go there herself and ask for help. Shiroe lets Krusty make the final decision. The adventurers group is divided into two. One group heads back to Akihabara on griffins. The group Akihabara, and she is surprised to see the city, because the city and their lives are so different from hers. The princess asks Krust where to start, as she had no idea. Shiroe takes her to Karashin's warehouse. Karashin greets her. Shiroe and Karashin are busy choosing an outfit and a weapon for her. Shiroe asks Akatsuki to help the princess change. Shiroe calls everyone early in the morning. He thanks them for coming. Shiroe tells everyone about the distress caused by goblins. The princess is shocked to see that everyone can read maps and understand tactics. Shiroe invites the princess to speak. The princess introduces herself to everyone. She asks for their help and in return, will reward them with land as prosperous as Akihabara. Everyone agrees to join her. Krust will be leading the groups while Shiroe will act as a strategist. Shiroe is discussing the plan with his team. Shiroe leaves the Osipede to Krusty. An Osipede is a type of prototype steam engine that is used for transport. About 1,200 adventurers have joined. Back at the palace, Lord Surigiat meets with Michitaka and Henrietta. The Lord tells us the possibility of splitting up with other lords. He admits that Akihabara and the Round Table are the forces and strength of the rival Eastal. At the training camp, when the kids make their return, Marielle seems very impressed. At the Osipede, Krust makes an announcement of the formation of 4 groups of 24 members each. The princess is given 12 guards and is being told not to do anything stupid. Since the kids have returned, there have been no signs of goblins in the town of Chashi. At Kasumi Lake, the princess is given the ability to have cat eyes. The princess is able to see very clearly in the dark. Princess is shocked to see Krusty enjoying fighting, but he still seems sad. At Mitterkant Equestrian Park, Osipede meets the second group. All types of communication are working perfectly fine and everyone is able to telepath. The town of Chashi is still in danger. In the town of Chashi, the kids see the goblins approaching the city. Everyone asks Marielle to help them fight. After thinking for some time, she granted the permission. Minori asks everyone to split up into 2 groups. Shiroe is kept updated on the situation. Marielle is confused because Minori never fights. Nayanta explains to her that she writes everything as a sentence, like a book named Tactics. For 5 seconds, Minori is able to see what is coming. Minori is like Shiroe. The kids hear the voice of a druid in special attack, so they decide to go there and help them. Shiroe tells Marielle the reinforcements will be there in an hour. The kids see a dire wolf who has a higher level than them. Minori remembers everything Shiroe has taught her, so she makes a plan. Toya is about to die when Rudy comes to his aid. While attempting to save Toya, Rudy badly injures himself. The healers try to save him, but they are not able to, because he was not an adventurer. He worked so hard. The healing does not work on the land's inhabitants. Minori requests help from Shiroe. Shiroe is surprised because she always seeks advice. Minori has never asked before. Shiroe and Akatsuki leave for their griffins. Shiroe inquires further. Sorara should play Revival, and Isuzu should Nestle. Sorara and Minori switch places after 180 seconds, while Toya guards them. He tells Minori to keep going. While on the griffins, he recalls Rage's explanation of HP and MP. He asks Akatsuki to take over while he writes. Krusty gets to hear everything. Shiroe reaches for a new spell. Everyone must keep it secret or leave. The spell is kept secret. Mana channeling is a spell that evenly distributes party MPs. Shiroe encourages Sarah and Minori to heal. Rudy awakens to tears. Isuzu wanted to be an adventurer, so death is natural, he says. Shiroe has him sign a contract. The level 90 player writes the contract on Fairy King's paper with Time Dragon's eye ink. He describes the contract's risks. Shiroe tells Rudy to die once as he signs the contract. Rudy sleeps in the cathedral. Krusty's army awaits the king. The princess is observing Krusty killing the lord. Minori questions the adventurer at night. Rudy awakens as an adventurer in the cathedral. At the palace, Shiroe is working in his room to avoid the flash party. Nayanta and his chefs make food for everyone. Everyone loves their food. It has been a month since they pinned the goblin army. Shiroe is trying to establish a healthy relationship with the people of the land. Shiroe calls Ushima the little birdie. They inform Shiroe about the festival of demons at Suzuko Gate in the west. Krusty sees a lady telling the kids about the death of the people of the land and the new magic that was used. Krusty is unconcerned. Rage and Shiroe meet. Rage thanks Shiroe for the new magic. Rage tells Shiroe about the new magic that has been invented in the west. According to Shiroe, it has to be in Minami. Shiroe tells Rage about the festival, similar to the return of Goblin Kings. This festival hints at magic. Shiroe is certain that something has occurred in Minami. At the palace, the party continues, but no one is dancing to the song. Krusty asks the princess for a dance. While the princess is dancing, she remembers the conversation she had with Lord Surigiet. Lord Surigiet tells her that they do not have any intention of giving adventurers any reward. Sorara and Nayanta dance together. Shiroe asks Akatsuki for a dance. Mariel asks Naotsugu to dance. The princess reaches Akihabara. Shiroe has told every adventurer about his memory loss. He had been told as a rumor, so no one had made a big deal of this. Shiroe goes to talk to Minori. Minori asks about her skills as the scene closes. Mariel has been mentioned by a committee known as the Committee of Craft Guilds for a large festival event. The festival starts tomorrow. This is the first festival in Akihabara. Every guild is busy working on something special to serve. Minori and Akatsuki go to invite Shiroe for a cake buffet. Shiroe accepted both invitations. Minori is choosing her outfit. Isuzu arrives to assist Minori in making a decision. Akatsuki goes to Karasen and asks for his help to let her pick an outfit. Minori, Akatsuki, and Shiroe go to the cake buffet competitions. They are served 12 whole cakes and are told to finish them. Minori and Akatsuki feed Shiroe cakes. Shiroe buys green tea for Minori on their way back home. Akatsuki approaches Shiroe and speaks with him. Akatsuki explains to him that she was not there to eat cake. Minori sees Akatsuki with Shiroe. This breaks her heart, so she goes to cry. Toya approaches Minori. Minori tells Toya about her feelings for Shiroe. Everyone enjoyed breakfast. Akatsuki sees Naotsugu's stamp card. Akatsuki takes the card and gift. Karasen sees Minori. Minori asks for help and starts to work. Henrietta calls them Naotsugu and Akatsuki. Henrietta loves Shiroe. Akatsuki and Naotsugu came to help. The twilight banquet is being prepared at the palace. Krusty surprises the princess. The banquet honors the adventurer's help. Minori tells Karasen she can help at Akihabara. In a flashback, she asks Shiroe to change her subclass. Shiroe recommends an apprenticeship. Apprentices can learn any skill. She obeyed and became an apprentice. Nayanta and Sorara are eating soup at Linguni when they notice a fight. Nayanta blocks him. Shiroe and Akatsuki are at the merchant plaza. When Shiroe tells the fight starter to leave, he does. Minori tells Shiroe that landowners caused the receipt problem. Shiroe works again. Shiroe thinks Akihabara was attacked. Shiroe notices a number of small incidents that took place in these last two places. This increased Shiroe's suspension. Henrietta is confused and asks Shiroe about their goal. Shiroe tells her that their goal is to cause many small problems in the city. Minori and Karasen conclude that errors in paperwork are caused deliberately. Shiroe is wondering who is behind this. At the palace, the princess maid thinks that the banquet is not enough to thank the adventurers. The princess is worried about Lord Malv's arrival. Lord Malv's, a high-ranking Westlandian merchant nobleman, has arrived according to Essa. Shiroe thinks the people of the land are behind all this. Shiroe asks Naotsugu to give more information about everything happening at the festival. Henrietta and Akatsuki are writing all the incidents. Shiroe is thinking of a plan. Nayanta calls Shiroe and tells him about the unified types of events. Shiroe was able to conclude that everything was planned on the spot. Shiroe calls on Suzuru for help and gives him a task to walk around with his group. People will not fight near women. Shiroe gets a message from the palace, so he goes there to help her. Shiroe and every representative of the Round Table arrive at the palace. Lord Malves asks the reason for their presence. Shiroe introduces herself and tells him that they are here to solve the issue. The Lord created a fake issue for a warehouse for the princess. The Marine Agency offers theirs as every other warehouse is full. The representative exposes Lord for the fake letter he claims to have delivered. Lord Malves apologizes and leaves. The princess goes to Akihabara and enjoys her time there. Shiroe calls it Ushima, but Dario, a traveling author, comes. Dario's real name was Nereva. She is the leader of Plant Waiden's guild master. After the Apolyceps, they got the nobility. She is very dangerous. She has come to invite Shiroe to join her. Shiroe and Nereha know a lot about each other. Shiroe refuses her offer, which makes her angry, and she leaves. It is the last day of the festival. Everyone promises Shiroe that they will do their best. Shiroe plans on doing bigger things. Their next goal is to create an MMORPG where thousands of players are trapped. They plan to change the world. That's end of Season 1.